Okay, guys, welcome to Spiritual Cartels Fire in the Booth. This week, I'm pleased to introduce Purdy, who's kindly come along and agreed to share for us. And Purdy, it's over to you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Kylie. Thanks for everybody doing service, and hello. Amazing, just what an honour and a privilege it is to come in and share with the Spiritual Cartel family. I feel so grateful and feel so lucky today, guys. My story is going to consist of everything, guys, because our message is always for the newcomer. You're brand spanking new into this, and you want to know where we know where we are and where we can get to. Hopefully, I can, in the next sort of 30 minutes, take you through 45 years of madness. I heard a saying the other day. It said, "Freedom is not just a dream; it's there, beyond the fences that we build all by ourselves." My name's Purdy. I'm an addict. I'm a recovered addict. And I'm a recovering human being day by day. And with that fences, that avatar that was created, I'm going to take you back to the very start. So for me, it started off early, right from the off. I was adopted. Yeah, my mum was only 15, but that resentment built because I got taken into care. I then got put into a family which decided that, I was made very clear that I wasn't meant to be part of that family. My mum died when I was about 6. A new woman came into the household. I was made to know that I wasn't part of the family. I wasn't blood. I wasn't wanted. And she used to make up a lot of lies about me, a lot of torment and stuff. And then my dad had come home and he'd just give me a beating. And that was my life. That was the life. So I guess you could call me a love junkie. I wanted love. That's all I wanted. Someone to give me a cuddle, someone to tell me it's going to be all right, someone to just show me that bit of love. And I never had that. At 12 years old, I decided to leave the family home. Get me out of there, streets of London. Let's get out and let's make my own way. So these fences I start to build, this protection system that I start to build for myself, because I don't ever want to be where I was when I was a kid. So I hit the streets of London. I'm sleeping rough. Anyone that's ever slept rough knows that bone-chilling cold that you get internally, but I was sleeping in backs of cars, wherever I could break into. I was so headstrong at that time. Like I say, that avatar I started to create, this self, because self protected me back then. I didn't know it'd end up destroying me. But back then, I had to just, be. And I found my first love. Found my first love in drugs. Found my first love in the 90s. It was the 90s back then, so it was the early rave scene, So all that rave music was out, and all of a sudden I found something that I could cling on to, something that I felt like home. So I get involved with a load of people, and we're, started off with the gas canisters up the sleeves. We're sucking gas, I'm walking around up and see a wing, 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 wing. I start to get that out-of-body experience, and I'm like, wow, I like this. I'm rolling joints, I'm smoking bongs. I'm getting old Rizzler raps and I'm whacking them down my neck, and we're putting on the hardcore tunes and we're dancing to the early hours and we're chattering away. There's no such thing as a hangover back then. Just a party. We hit the clubs, we hit the club scene, taking ease, and we're rushing and we're rubbing each other's faces and we're taking our tops off. And no one wanted to fight or frolic, you know what I mean? They wanted unity. They wanted to dance. And I loved it. I loved that time. Absolutely loved that time because I really honestly felt home. I felt home. I felt love with all these strangers, all these people, all this music, all these drugs. I come back, acid come on the scene, so we start hitting the acid tabs and start dancing around the fires in the woods, like with the woodland fairies, believing I can control the fires and the flames. And I get into this world and the obsession is getting more and more. I realize that I can't stop. I realize that I want this feeling all the time. I've got to fund this habit. So crime becomes a big part of my life. And what it does is it puts a darker twist on what was once a beautiful arena. I'm nicking cars. I'm smashing through supermarket windows. I'm nicking all the whiskey and the vodka and the booze and the fags. And I'm taking them back to a garage and we've got a little lockup and we're knocking this stuff out. And I'm working for drug dealers and I'm doing little hits on other drug dealers and I'm sort of like blowing up their cars and getting paid in drugs. And of course I'm smoking crack. Of course I end up with needles in my arm. Not that one's worse than the other, but I just needed to be high all the time. I needed to escape the reality of my past. I didn't know that then. I just thought I had it all under control and I just thought I liked drugs, So I carry on with this cycle. I carry on with this madness. I end up in a flat with a knife around my throat. There's a geezer comes in from Liverpool. I think I'm going to die. I'm sitting barefooted on this bed, curtains closed, this skanky place. you know, and this Liverpudlian guy comes in, and they start talking, these two people in the kitchen. I think I'm going to die. I remember jumping up from that flat, and I run barefooted through the streets of London, and I called a mate of mine. I said, mate, we got to get out of here. I've got to get me out of here. The geographicals have already started. I'm moving from pillar to post, left, right, and centre. And all of a sudden, I find he goes, look, I know someone in North London. We'll go to North London. I don't know if there's as many drugs in North London. Guess what? There is drugs in North London. And but I find a new life. I find a new obsession because everyone's dressing a bit different. Maybe my eyes are open. Thought it was Hollywood. I found a Hollybush pub. Women, cocaine, alcohol, football, fighting, white Ralph Lauren cloth shirts and white Reebok classics. I had an earring in each ear and a sovereign on every single finger, like some sort of cocaine pirate. I thought it was the business. But I found it and I loved it because it was a new group, a new tribe, a new community that I could fall in love with. And I did. I become a drug dealer because I still didn't want to go to work. 20 years old now, and I've become a drug dealer, the worst drug dealer in the world, because I'm still a love junkie. I still want to be everyone's friend. I still want to be, and I'm an agent of chaos. I'm an absolute agent of chaos. I'm tearing the world apart, and people are latching onto me because they like my manicness, you know. And I like that arena. I like being in that place. It's like I'm a chameleon, a 1,000 different masks, 1,000 different suits, and I just get involved wherever I go. But I'm very lonely. And like I say, that depression, it's all sort of started then. You know, the hangovers were feeling it a little bit more because in the beginning, it's great fun. Then we have a few problems in the middle and it starts to build this addict life. So the reason I say I'm a terrible drug dealer and I'm a love junkie is because if you lot were on the, how many people we got on tonight? If you lot around my flat, there'll be that many lines of cocaine going out. And there'll be another set of that. And I'd keep doing it. So much so that I owe drug dealers money. And all of a sudden, I can't pay them. And I'm out on the streets again and I'm living rough. And I become the geezer down the pub going, sorts out a line, mate, sorts out a line. I become the pest. And I'm in one set of clothes. And I'm not showering and I'm stinking again. And I'm 20 odd years old. And I'm, you know, all this depression is starting to hit me. I end up getting in a really bad fight. Angry was I. I was angry at the world. You know, how could it be treating me like this, even though I'm doing all these things? And I get into a fight and I hurt someone pretty bad. I end up doing 4 years in prison. I served 2 years. And when I was in there, I felt that loneliness again, you know, that abandonment like I did when I was a kid. And you go one way or the other in prison. And I think for me, just laser focused was when I come out of here, I'm going to get a wife. I'm going to get 2 kids. I'm going to get a dog. I'm going to get a house. I'm going to fly a kite. When I come home from work, it's all going to be in slow motion. And I've worked it all out, pre-populated thoughts of an addict, you know, all this pre-thinking, forward thinking, as well as all the stuff in the past and cannot live in the present. So I come out of prison and I do just that. I meet someone. We get married. We have 2 beautiful boys. Get a house. I get a job because I'm standing up at it. And I'm still drinking. I'm still using. It's still all over me. But now I'm working as well. So I'm a stand-up addict now. I drove that woman crazy. I never hurt her, as in physically. You know, I wasn't a physical person. I wouldn't knock her about. I wouldn't call her names and that, but she was a drinker. And I'd go missing because I always needed that hole to be filled, you know, that part of my soul that I didn't know what that was. I just always needed something. I always needed something or someone, and I didn't know what it was. I never felt like I had home. I never, ever felt that home. And I drove her to insanity, so much so that she took her life. She was a prisoner of my mind and my ways. And she took her life. I was weak at the time. I didn't know what to do. How dare she? What I thought. Isms. I, self, and me, poor me. How could she do this to us? How could she do this to me? Not alone, I left this poor woman a stranger. The amount of time she grabbed my hand and said, please stop. Please stop. You know what I mean? I'll go missing for weeks. Not return. Please stop. And I didn't listen. My kids couldn't stop me then. My wife couldn't stop me then. Nothing could stop me then. And do you know what? When she died, I fucking wanted to tear the world apart, guys. I wanted to tear the world apart. Even more angry was I now. How can all this stuff be happening to me? And I went out and I went crazy. I left my kids in the care of her mum and dad, and I tore London apart. I met a stripper, fell in love with a stripper. was going to save her. This is my new venture. I'm going to save her. She's got nothing. She's stripping in a nightclub. I'm going to save her. I'm going to bring her back to, I'm going to make her life a beautiful reality. And I'm still so messed up in my head. And we have 2 kids and we get married. And I get a big job where I'm actually starting to earn a lot of money because the chameleon in me, I can start to adapt to situations. So sick am I becoming. I'm really ill. I'm really not well. I'm not me. I'm just a meat suit. I'm a meat suit. I'm living externally, not internally. So that marriage breaks down. By the way, I'm 40 years old now. And that marriage breaks down. And she takes everything I have or everything I own. How dare she? How dare she treat me like that? How dare she do this? All the time just feeling so alone, and I was so sick in my mind. And do you know what? When that happened, I sunk into a really deep depression because anxiety and depression and bipolar, and I was diagnosed with bipolar, diagnosed with extreme depression, diagnosed with anxiety. I was taking tablets, still sniffing lines and wondering why I felt so ill, always blaming it on something else. And she left me with nothing. And I didn't want to be here no more, guys. And I took my life. I took myself out of this world because I didn't want to be here no more. I woke up in hospital, and there was a nurse sitting at the end of my bed. I was in a gown. I was all drawn, you know. Oh, hello, Purdy. My name's Bernadette. And just to let you know, we're going to take care of you. This is what's happened. And feeling all sorry for myself. You're going to go down to a care centre soon, and we're going to keep an eye on you. We're going to monitor you. We're going to make sure you're okay. I said, okay. We're in the back of a taxi. We're making small talk. This is my first spiritual experience. Did I know what to do with it? No. Did I know what a spiritual experience was, or a spiritual awakening, or all this, or God? I prayed to him enough times, but I wasn't a believer. So I'm sitting in the back of this taxi, and I've got my head leaning out the window, and we're making small talk, and she starts. And she says, where are you from? I said, I'm from London. I said, where are you from? She said, I'm from Cornwall. This is 40 years later, guys. Remember I said I was adopted in Cornwall. This is 40 years later in London, millions of people. I'm sitting in the back of this taxi with this woman called Bernadette. I said, it's funny you said Cornwall. I'm from Cornwall, but I moved to London like early on in my life when I was at a care home about 1 year old. She said, oh yeah, whereabouts in Cornwall? I said, it's a tiny little place, because I remember my birth certificate, 13 New Road, Troon. So look at my birth certificate. And she said, I said, from a little place called Troon. She went, I'm from Troon. I said, that's really weird. I said, I was adopted there. She turned from my carer into a little child. And I remember her face now. It gives me goosebumps when I talk about it. Because she sort of put her hands over her face and she looked at me and she went, oh my God. She said, you're not Melanie's little boy, are you? And Melanie was my mum, my real mum. And I went, yeah, Melanie was my mum. She went, oh my God, your mum was my best friend. When she was pregnant with you, we were hiding, we were sleeping in barns, we were trying to, there was loads of stuff going on, and your mum was my best friend. I went, oh my God, you're fucking joking me. And we had this moment and we were talking. She said, you've got to get yourself better. And when you get better, come out and talk to me. We need to talk. I said, okay. I went in that care centre and I got out there, and guess what I did with that spiritual experience that was put in front of me to say that you there's something more for you. You've got something to offer. Guess what I did with it? Fuck all. I drank. I used. I sniffed. This time I was really alone. This time I was really on my own. You know, I had no one. I'd burned every bridge I'd ever had. You know, I'd said sorry to every single person that ever lived. I had no one left. I was so lonely, man. I was so lonely, man. I tried dying. I couldn't. I didn't want to live no more. And I was stuck in that middle road, that middle place, you know, stuck in that place of not knowing what to do. Sniffing lines of gear, you know, till 7, 8 in the morning, staying up for days on end, crying into my lines of cocaine, you know, smoking dog butts when it was getting to the end. Sometimes I was so refined as a dog butt smoker that if it was pissing down with rain, I'd go downstairs, I'd pick up all the dog butts, I'd bring them up, I'd put them into the microwave, I'd cook them, and that'd give me that little one smoke. I was lonely. I was depressed. I was anxious. I couldn't move. I couldn't talk. I had so much going on up here. I didn't know what to do. And I'm going to talk about the solution now, guys, because there is a solution. If you're brand new in the room, I promise you, I said at the beginning, there is a solution. 100% you can recover from a hopeless state of body and mind. Hopeless being that I want to change, but I can't. I can't get off the misery go round. It don't matter what I do, I cannot get off. So all of a sudden I phone CA. I don't know why. I go on this meeting, you know, and there's people there at the screen. Get a big bird, put your number in the chat, get a sponsor. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh God, what's this all about? So there's another thing. And I was listening to just people talking, and it really, something struck with me. And I cried out at the end, you know, please someone help me. Can someone please help me? And I got met by a guy. And he rang me and he said, Purdy, I want someone to tell you something. You're not a bad person, man. You're just sick like me. And I'll always remember those words. As I was in, he said, what are you doing? He said, listen, we're going to go over a process and we're going to do something. And then we were into step one, you know, we admitted we were powerless and life had become unmanageable. Step one. And we started to do a piece of work around it. You know, I learned that I'm sick, you know, and I can't differentiate the true from the false. We do a log and loser list where we start to look at all these things that hadn't kept me abstinent. I had to smash the idea that I was like everybody else. I wasn't like everybody else. I couldn't stop. I couldn't put a bit of drugs in the drawer and go back to it. I couldn't. I'd absolutely tear it apart every single time. I also learned that there was a solution. I also learned that half measures avail us nothing, guys. And if I had enough willingness, open-mindedness and honesty, I could stand a chance. And we do this piece of work and I loved it. And I was so into it. And I remember at the end of it, I said, mate, how do I get a sponsor? He said, I am your sponsor. And we've just done step one. It's incredible, guys, because that's the speed I needed, you know, like a ticking time bomb. At 24 hours out the door, I'd have been gone again, probably in some whirlwind of pain. But I'm not, I'm in. And then the next day we come in and we start to look at step two. Came to believe in a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. What does that mean? I am the all power. I go into a meeting and I was lucky enough to hear his wife speak. And very fortunate. And she spoke of the metaphysical magnificence. Purdy, guess what? You're not the most powerful thing on this planet. I'm like, are you sure? I've got a bird that I'm seeing. I've got an off license down the end of the road. A couple of drug dealers come round. Yeah, I'm doing everyone else's thinking for them, my own thinking, and I think I've got the monopoly on everything. So here am I. Guess what? You're not the most powerful thing. Look out your window. See the wind and the trees and the rain. Look at the way the wind blows through the trees and it blows all the grass. You see the sunlight and the way that it comes through the branches and it just hits that. Look over to your left and you see the sea crashing in and out. I live near the sea, guys. You see it smashing against the stones, the tides that go in and out. Look into the distance and you see the hills and the wheels. And if you take that into other countries, it's mountains and it's rainforests and it's deserts. It's daytime. You look up, you can see the clouds and the blue sky and you see the sun shining. At night time, it all turns dark and the stars come out and the moon shines. And past the moons, you can see the stars and the galaxies. You see, it just is. The Earth spins at 1,000 miles an hour, but because of gravitational pulls, we don't fall off. It spins on that axis. We breathe in nitrogen, oxygen, things that stop it from exploding. Guess what, Purdy? There's something more powerful than you out there. I'm like, are you sure? And it's true. And that's how I got into this, you know, come to believe in a power greater than myself was the universe. It just is. Do you know what? I want to live a life where it just is. That sounds perfect right now. So we go into step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God. Wow. Got a fundamental idea of God. I've prayed to him enough times, even though I didn't believe him. But really? God? But you know what? Fire my ass and hire God. Because I can't do this no more, man. I'm tired. Tired out, mate. I can't live like this no more. I don't want to live like this no more. I've told everyone sorry so many times. It's worn out. It's spent. It's done. No one's interested. So I need someone to talk to. I need to have some faith, you know. So yeah, let's go. I'm in. And those steps 1, 2, and 3, the connection side of the steps, beautiful. And then we get into steps 4 to 9, which is the correction. Step 4, remember step 4. You know, if I'm handing my life, will of my life over in step 3, maybe I wouldn't have found step 4 so challenging. But I did at the start. I was doing everything my sponsor asked. I was doing a grateful list. I was phoning everybody. My fellowship was growing. I was getting involved. I'd read the big book. I'd read the big book 3 times by then. I didn't understand a bloody word that was in it. It was all a load of gobbledygook. But I'd read it because I was Mr. Recovery, you know. And all of a sudden, I woke up on this step 4, and I'm thinking, how am I going to piece my life back together? How am I going to think about all these things that I've done? How am I going to speak to my dead wife's mum and dad and tell them how sorry I am, man? What I did. So it's on me, you know, because I'm a human being. It's on me. I didn't connect that day. And I was thinking, you know, very strongly, like, this is not for me. And I rang my sponsor. He said to me, all right, but he's smiling. Yeah, let go, brother, let go. I love you, man. Whether you're on the call or not, I love you. I'll always love you. And he was smiling, let God, let me be angry, man. Let me be angry. Stop smiling. Stop talking about God. And he said, listen, don't worry. Listen, Purdy, what did you pray about this morning? I said, I didn't pray this morning. He said, that's unlike you, man. All right, what did you meditate about? Because you love meditation. You talk to me about it all the time. You actually get close. You get really down. You can feel it, the energy waves. You know, you let it take over your body, and actually you get silence. You tell me about it all the time. What did you meditate about this morning? I said, I didn't. He said, that's all right. I love your grateful lists, mate. Because they don't just say, what am I grateful for? Cat, dog, air, water, streams, trees. You know, I'll get away with anything, me, if I can. He said, your grateful lists are like that. Every single one is an essay. It's beautiful. Do you know why? Because it gives me hope. It gives me hope. Where's your grateful list today? I ain't done it. You see, my sponsor's not God, and he taught me this very early doors. But you know what? He guides me. And I almost put the phone down like, okay, gotcha. And now I'm sitting here. I've discussed it with another person. We're having a chat. So I've come out of self a little bit. What do I do in this situation? Step 2, came to believe in a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. I got my arse up. I went outside and I swam in the sea. I swam in the ocean. I let the sunshine hit me and I'm swimming in the sea. I have a moment. I get a calm. I get a stillness. I come back over to my flats, bearing in mind that I've lived here a year, and a little old woman walks around the corner. I've never seen her. That's probably because I'm a vampire, because I only come out at night. And even when I come out at night, I'm not looking at anyone. You know, I'm busy doing my stuff. So all of a sudden, I'm awake. I'm alive. I'm talking. I'm having a conversation with this person. And she says, you've been for a swim, darling? I said, yeah, I have. I said, where you been? She said, I've been shopping. I said, oh, all right. Then she started to tell me about a story about her wrist, etc. She said, I see you and your kids, because now today, guys, all my children are back in my life because of this beautiful program. So they come over to me and they stay here lots. And she says, you go out, take them to the sea swimming, don't you? I said, yeah. She went, I'm a bit old now. She said, I'll tell you what, my darling. She said, I own one of those beach huts over on the beach there. She said, any time you want to come round, you come round and get the keys. You can have it for a weekend. You can have it for a week. You can have it for as long as you like. She said, I live at number 9. I've got number 9 tattooed on my left arm. I didn't get number 9 tattooed on my left arm to make this story better for when I do shares. I already had number 9 tattooed on my left arm. So she suddenly goes, you know, come round any time. I said, oh, I said, thank you so much. That's such a beautiful thing to do. I remember coming back up to my flat and going, I get emotional talking about it, because I remember that feeling. Because it's a feeling, this for me. It's a feeling. God is a feeling. I remember thinking, what just happened then? What just happened? And I was in. From that point, I was in. I was right in. Because I'd made that decision. I got myself involved back in the steps, and that thing happened to me. And I could have pulled the dealer, got back into my old shitty life. I could have gone an easy way out, because I know the darkness. I'm used to it. But I didn't. So I'm in the steps. Steps 5, 6, and 7. You know, come along. We're doing this work. So step 4, pen to paper step. I've already done all this stuff. So let's just get it out on paper. Because otherwise my problems are the size of the fucking world. They're the size of a country. But if I get it down on pen and paper, they're there in front of me, and then I can deal with them. And I can speak to someone else about it. And how freeing it was when I did with my sponsor in step 5. So step 6, you know, we go into entirely ready. to get all those defects of character. And step 7, humbly ask to remove our shortcomings before we get into steps 8 and 9. Steps 8 and 9, the harms, and obviously working through that, it was a big one. But we did it. And do you know what it says in the promises? It says you'll be amazed before you're halfway through. And I see that reading now. Every time I read that reading, it means so much, because I remember where I was when I come into the steps. Because at the start, readings come up on meetings and go, I've heard that one. When we draw forth the deeper meaning of the words, it is incredible. And when we're living them through the steps, it is incredible. And I remember the promises because, of course, I got a letter from my mum. She said, it's okay, I forgive you. We forgive you. It's okay. It was a long time ago, And I carried that shit around me. I carried that stuff around me for so long, man. So driven by fear. The character, the avatar that I had created off the back of all this stuff was a frightening character, man. And all of a sudden, now I've got that message, I've got that letter, I got that it's okay. She wasn't well, we understand. You were young. It's okay. We move on from here. It was oh my God, it was so freeing. There's such a beautiful freedom in that step. I remember it so well. And then we get into step 10, because I'm building my spiritual home now, guys, I understand, one, that I'm powerless. I've got a rock solid foundation. In step 2, I'm willing to believe. I start to build my walls. And then I hand my will and my life over to God. I put that little cornerstone, I put that little roof on. So now I'm all tucked up in my little spiritual home. But I've got to clean this place up because it's filthy. So I start to clean, I start to look at all the shortcomings, resentments, all my character defects that are all hanging all over the walls. And I take the pictures off and I give them a dust and I start to clean my house. And then I get the quill out and I start to do steps 8 and 9 and I start to write. Because when I do that, obviously magical things happen. And I remember that inner feeling, internal, no longer external. Am I living? I'm living in my soul. I'm living internally. And it's a beautiful, beautiful feeling. Beautiful feeling. So now I can open my door of my little house and I can start to live in the direction side of the steps, which is obviously 10 to 12. I can open my front door and I can go out there. I can get involved in life. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. When things happen, I can deal with them. I can deal with them and I can move them aside. When, vice versa. If I act out or I'm not conscious of the way, I can take note and I can keep myself well in the moment without carrying around another resentment, without carrying around all that stuff that I used to carry around with me. And then we're in step 11, seek prayer and meditation to get a closer connection with God. Wow, that for me is that's the daily medicine. That's the baptism. Absolutely beautiful. Having that two-way conversation, understanding that I can see with my eyes shut, and I can hear when I stop being so noisy. And it is like step 2, let the universe, it just is. And that's how I can live, in that moment with prayer and meditation. I can ask the questions and I can get the answers. And I come out of that meditation every single time. It's like a rebirth. And that stuff is learned. It's the reason it's in step 11. That's later on in your journey. If you're brand new in this meeting and you're struggling a little bit with meditation and that, just keep doing the steps. Just keep working the process. They're in order for a reason. And I absolutely, like I say, it's part of my baptism now is that routine. That is prayer and meditation is step 11. And then we get to step 12. What a beautiful, beautiful step. After having a spiritual awakening. See, the difference between a spiritual awakening and a spiritual experience is a spiritual experience is beautiful. That is your God consciousness. That means, for me, my eyes are open. All of a sudden, I'm living in this life. I'm living in this world with my eyes open. I can see things more clearly. Reminds me like the Matrix. One of those bullets that come and then you sort of slow-mo moves them. I can start to see things more clearly. I haven't got all this noise and stress and pressure in my mind anymore because I've done the steps. I've relieved it. I've thoroughly worked these steps. Action heals the soul. So I've done this and now I can speak forever, but I've got nothing going on up here. I can sleep at night. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful thing. I have a quiet peace. It's incredible. So my spiritual awakening now is that I say that I'm a recovered addict. I am recovered because I have no longer have the obsession to use. It has gone. It has been lifted. How did that happen? When my kids and my family and my businesses and my life, my entire life, 40 years, I couldn't do this stuff. But now I can. So all of a sudden, then because the obsession's lifted, the allergy's not being triggered, you know, so I can live in the spiritual world. I can give back my dark past. I can help others. That's my legacy now. I'm a hope dealer. Yeah. Hopefully I deal in hope that you can recover, that there is a better life out there for us from that dark past that we had. But we can share these dark stories to give someone else a bit of hope, give someone else a bit of inspiration. How beautiful is that? That's what I want my legacy to be now. Not a junkie. I want to help people. And I do every single day. Every single day. You know, from these meetings to working responses, to whatever I can do for phone calls, whatever I can do to give back, I do it. Guys, I'm just before I finish, because I'm probably at time or getting close. I want to thank everybody. You know, really, I'm extremely grateful to be. I'm a very proud member of CA, guys. Very, very, very proud. It means the world to me because it saved my life. You know, you guys on this screen absolutely saved my life. 100%, without a doubt, you saved my life. This program, God, saved my life. If you're a newcomer, guys, get a big book. Yeah, get a sponsor. Put your number in the chat. I don't know how it works, but it works. It's a beautiful, beautiful experience. I'm going to finish off on a little poem that I wrote because I very much like to, my mind is, I have now space in my mind. So I like to write stuff. So I wrote a poem, but guys, your past isn't your future unless you live in it. You know, this stuff kills, and I've seen it left, right and center, you know, and you got to work it like your life depends on it, because it does. And I'll finish up with this. Just going to have a little sip of water. Okay, so this is a 12-step poem. Never before could I understand what was going on inside me. The mess, carnage, chaos, rage, when all I wanted was to be tidy. Ripped apart in the struggle with no one to guide me. Was this it? Am I dead? Has my soul left my body? Step one, I'm powerless. Why has it taken all this to remind me? Did I forget all the pain and the suffering and that I'm not free? My kingdoms were built and then they were burned down around me. Please not again. This ain't normal. This is sick me. The sick me is me. Same roots, just a wrong tree. New branches and leaves must be grown to revive me. But I'm scared. Is there a God? So I get down on one knee. Of course I'm here. Step two, let me guide thee. Relieve me from self. Please, God, help me to walk with love in my heart and peace. This is step three. I'm not sure how many times in this rhyme that I've said me, but with God and the fellowship, switch that me shit to we. Because we stand together on the shoulder of giants. Never before have I felt such love and defiance. Unity, connection, and strength with one breath. Now I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I'm in. God is with me. And you soldiers of war. War of life struggles, and I'm into step four. Resentments and regrets from a life lived before. Dig deep, my friend, because I know it feels sore. These cuts and these memories, I know that they're raw. And I know it feels strange. We ain't been here before. But God is now with you. You're in the right place. Just work hard, be true, release and feel grace. Grace from God as we admit all our wrongdoings, ready to let go and remove our shortcomings, taken right from us to hold up in heaven. Our weight starts to shift through 5, 6, and 7. I'm open, I'm honest, I'm alive and I'm grateful. 8, 9 comes along and it's tough. It feels faithful because I've damaged myself and so many in my path. My amends to all these people from all the misery and wrath, but be bold, be brave. Just put pen to paper, let it all out, be free from the hater. You'll quickly find out, and this much is true, they'll forgive and they'll forget. The hate's inside you. Be open, be honest, and explain all those years. How you were sorry and caught up in addiction and fears. What could I have done different? What could I have said? Lay it all out, man. Put it to bed. Keep an inventory daily and keep a check on yourself. When you're wrong, just admit it. Take care of your health. Step 10 lets us live there. Step 10 keeps things right. For you to succeed, you've got to fight and take flight. But never forget to drop down on one knee. Meditate for 11. Stay present, stay free. Your connection with God is a power within. Free from all self-loathing, sickness and sin. So keep yourself in the triangle. There's no going back. Unity, service and recovery will keep you on track. Now you're into step 12. You're alive. You're awake. Your life is so bright and it's no longer fake. So get out there and help people. Give back men some souls. This is your path now. These are your goals. A new beginning, a fresh start where your heart now thrives. Get out there and help people. Go save people's lives. I'll finish it here now with me. Turn to we. A breakdown of self and a mind that sits free. Thank God, thank my sponsor, and thank all that I meet. I'm happy inside now. I'm back on my feet. Thanks for letting me